Welcome to Astrology Valley, where we uncover the secrets of the universe and bring them straight to you. In this reading, we're looking at the question, is the person you're currently with your soulmate? Congratulations on picking the 10 cards that will answer your love question. Is the person you're currently with your soulmate? Let me slowly reveal the 10 cards to you and answer your question. We're going to start first by flipping over each card one at a time, and I'll give you a full description for each card. Once all the cards have been flipped, I'm going to tell you how those cards are working together. And by exploring the cards combined, we will find an answer to your question. Let's go ahead and start with the first card. And the first card that we have here is the Queen of Swords. Now, the Queen of Swords represents a woman of immense complexity, sometimes considered cold-hearted, but also sharp of mind and wit, independent and possessing great powers of organization and analysis. This card also represents complexity, perceptiveness, and clear-mindedness. Now, how this card could apply to your question is the person that you're with currently your soulmate? This card talks about making logical decision making. This card talks about evaluating things based on logic over emotions. Let's take a look at the next card that we have here. In this one is the Three of Pentacles. The Three of Pentacles represents several people of varying skills and beliefs working together to join into a great cause. Teamwork helps to create something new, and progress will be swift when you're working as a team. The energy of this card, of course, is teamwork, collaboration, and building. Well, of course, to be in a good relationship, the two people in that relationship should be working as a team, working together to achieve common goals. And that's what this card is talking about. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next card that we have here. And the next card that we have is the Nine of Swords. This is a bit more of a negative card. Let's talk about the Nine of Swords right now. The Nine of Swords represents someone that is trapped by their own negative thoughts. There is not necessarily a situation that warrants the worry, but this card hints that overanalysis leads to crippling indecision and the feeling of helplessness. This card represents anxiety, hopelessness, and the potential for nightmares. Sleepless nights and nightmares could be very common with this card. And this card represents you potentially struggling with wondering whether or not the current partner that you're with is the right one for you. Now, worrying about this probably brings more negative energy into your life than positive energy. So do make a note of that. And we're going to be talking a lot more about this card later in the reading. Let's take a look at the next card that we have here. And the next card that we have here is Judgment. Now, Judgment does play a role in this reading for sure. Judgment indicates the cusp of rebirth. In order to achieve that, you must look back upon your deeds and come to an honest evaluation of yourself. This leads to an awakening that signals a new way of life. The Judgment card represents self-reflection, a reckoning, and the inner voice. Well, the interesting part about figuring out whether or not the person that you're with is your soulmate is to look within yourself. Really look within yourself and look at what it is that you're truly looking for in a relationship, whether or not the person that you're with meets all of those requirements, as well as looking at yourself. Are you truly ready for the commitment that you're in? Are you hopeful of the future? And if you're not hopeful for the future, why are you not hopeful for the future? Somebody being your soulmate has 50% to do with them and 50% to do with you. For them to be your soulmate, they have to be the right person for you. Of course, you decide what's right for you. So you'll need to reflect and think for ultimately making that decision. Of course, this reading will be telling us if the person you're currently with is your soulmate, but you will still need to reflect within. Let's take a look at the next card that we have here, and this card is the Moon. Now, the Moon represent that the night is the time for dreams and fantasies to rule. The Moon also represents instincts that we have buried in our own unconscious. They come out and play in the moonlight. But the reflections that we see spring forth, can also be illusions. It is easy to lose your way in the dark. The Moon card represents the unconscious, it represents illusions, and it represents intuitions. This card primarily represents dreams and fantasies, and dreams and fantasies can be an absolute wonderful thing, but it can also be a curse. Of course, by dreaming and fantasizing about what you want for your future or who you want your partner to be will allow you to have the ability to find that person and seek for those qualities. Now, the person that you're with right now, do they meet all the qualifications of your dream or fantasy partner? They don't necessarily have to meet all of your fantasy requirements in order for them to be your soulmate. So do make note of this. They can't live up to every expectation that you have, but they should live up to the important ones. Let's go on to the next card that we have here, and this one is the Ace of Pentacles. Now, the Ace of Pentacles, this card represents the spark of a new opportunity in the realm of all things earthly, matter, body, and even wealth. The world brought forth by this card is fertile and full of abundance, bringing opportunity and prosperity. The card, of course, represents opportunity and prosperity and a new venture or adventure. Something to note about this card is that there's a big pentacle at the top. There's also a hedge with an archway with a path leading to mountains in the distance. This card represents a journey that is filled with opportunity. Now, in this case, because we're asking about a soulmate, the new opportunity aspect of this card doesn't actually apply to this reading, but it does indicate that you're on a long journey filled with opportunity. Of course, we won't fully know what this card means until we finish pulling all of the cards and seeing what they are saying together. Let's take a look at the next card that we have here, and this card is the Ace of Wands. Now, the Ace of Wands, or the suit of wands rather, is always the first step in the act of creation. This card specifically is the burning fire of intention, desire, and passion that ignites the spark of an idea. Thus, this card represents the powerful forces that will guide your way like a torch in the dark, on a journey to make these desires become a reality. Now, what desires are we talking about? Well, whether or not you're currently with your soulmate. Other influences of this card is creation, willpower, inspiration, and desire. So this talks about the knowledge, building the knowledge, understanding what it is that you're looking for to be able to light your way and figure out whether or not your partner that you're currently with is your soulmate. Let's take a look at the next card. The next card that we have here is the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands indicates that you have been working extremely hard in order to turn something into reality. At the end of that journey, however, you find yourself being overburdened. Okay, now this card represents accomplishment, responsibility, and burden. It talks about carrying a heavy load. It talks about pushing against something in order to move it forward, in order to make it work, in order to make it happen. This card does not necessarily mean that you're not with your soulmate, but it does talk about the work and the effort that you've put in to make the most of your current relationship. And we'll find out more about what this card means once we pull the two remaining cards. Let's take a look at the next card that we have. And this is the Knight of Swords. Now, the Knight of Swords represents the power of an idea to overwhelm. Filled with the vision for an idea, the knight is propelled forward with unbridled ambition. Though his energy is great, there is also a warning associated with being unconscious about consequences and obstacles. This is actually a really positive card. It talks about moving forward. It talks about going to battle. It talks about putting in effort and a good fight. But know that whatever journey, whatever direction that you choose to head into, know that there could be obstacles. There could be consequences to your actions. Now let's take a look at the last card now. The last card is very significant to this reading. because it could set the tone for the entire reading. Of course, once we flip this card, we're going to be able to see all the cards. And we're going to discuss what the cards are meaning together, what the cards are saying together. Let's see what this card is right now. And this is the Page of Pentacles. Now, this card indicates that you are on the brink of giving life to a new venture or opportunity that brings you luck in the material world. You are full of enthusiasm and energy to make this new opportunity come to life. This card represents dreams, desires, and opportunity. And a very positive card indeed to pull for our last card in this reading. Of course, once again, the question that we're looking at here is the person that you're currently with your soulmate? I'm going to talk about soulmates a little bit here before we get into answering this question. And so far, the cards are looking to be more positive and more in favor to the person that you're with being your soulmate. Of course, once I describe the full cards and how they're working together, we'll confirm that at the end of this video. But in regards to soulmates, note that you do not have to be with your soulmate to be in a happy, fulfilling relationship. In fact, most people that are living happy lives with their partners that are happy and content in their relationship, most people are not with their soulmate. In fact, finding your soulmate is something that is quite rare. Now, we actually have multiple soulmates in this world. I believe that we could have as many as 5 soulmates, but those soulmates are spread all over the world. So the chances that your soulmate is currently living in the same country or city or town that you're in is actually quite rare. So being with your soulmate is actually something that's extremely special. Now, just because you're with your soulmate doesn't mean that your relationship is perfect. It just means that you have a profound connection. Soulmates still argue. Soulmates still have issues. All right. Soulmates can still have problems in their relationships. A soulmate is not an ideal, perfect partner, but a soulmate is a partner that you have a stronger connection with than most other people. Let's take a look at these cards and kind of what they're saying together. Of course, there's a level of evaluation that you're going to have to do to ultimately decide if the person that you're with is your soulmate or not. Now, I'll be honest with you, the cards are pointing in a very positive direction. But ultimately, regardless of what the conclusion of this reading is, you still get to make the decision of whether or not that person that you're with is the ideal partner for you. So know that regardless of what these cards say, you do get to make the final decision. And nobody says that you have to be with your soulmate. You don't. You may have found your soulmate. You may be with your soulmate right now. But if you're not happy with this relationship, you can make the decision to move on. Now, you might not find a soulmate again, but that doesn't mean that your next relationship won't be fulfilling and make you happy. It very well could. Here's what the cards are saying, though. It does say that your current relationship is very much a good combination. There's teamwork there. Although sometimes in this relationship there are negative emotions. Being with your soulmate doesn't mean that you have a perfect relationship, okay? So do note that even with a soulmate, there's still going to be ups and downs in the relationship. You're still going to have some negative emotions You're going to have some sleepless nights from time to time. But in order to truly know whether or not you're with your soulmate or not, it isn't just evaluating them, but most importantly, it's about you evaluating what it is that you want from your life. Of course, comparing the person that you're with the dreams and fantasies that you may be having, the imagined fantasy version of your ideal partner might not be a fair comparison. Of course, if your fantasies paint out a bad scenario, that's really not much of a fantasy, but usually a fantasy is something that is perfect. A fantasy is usually something that's the most ideal thing that you're hoping for and looking for. And do note that usually, even a soulmate may not be able to live up to your most ideal fantasies. You're going to have a little bit of bad with the good. The trick is that hopefully the good qualities of the person that you're with outnumbers the bad qualities, okay? And hopefully perhaps they have a little bit of bad qualities, but not too many. And nobody's perfect, okay? The Ace of Pentacles talks about with your current relationship, you're actually going to be on a long road, if not on that road already. We have a hedge and an archway and a path leading to mountains in the distance. This talks about a journey that you're going to be on for some time with your current partner and a lot of opportunities that are on the way. Of course, as you make that journey, the longer that you're with that person, the more things that you're going to be learning about them, the more things that are going to come to light, and the more knowledge that you possess. Any relationship worth being in takes effort. Okay? No relationship is effortless. And just because you're with your soulmate doesn't mean that everything is going to be perfect all the time. You're still going to have to put work and effort into that relationship to have it move forward. And yes, every once in a while, some of that work may cause burden. But of course, it's about that connection with that person. It's about how you feel about that person. It's about whether or not you're working as a team for common goals. The next card that we have here is the Knight of Swords. And this represents taking action. This represents moving forward. And one of the things that's really strong in these cards, and we're going to get to the last card in just a second, but one of the things that's actually really strong in these cards is teamwork, is putting in effort, is ability, power, moving forward. And the Page of Pentacles also talks about positivity for the future. It talks about dreams and desires coming true, and that you have given life to this relationship and moving forward. You should be full of enthusiasm and energy about this relationship and all the fantastic things that are still yet to come in the future. Based on the cards that I'm seeing here, I absolutely believe that the person that you're currently with is your soulmate. Now, one of the things that gets people confused, they say, I'm with my soulmate. Why do we still argue? Well, no relationship is perfect. No combination is perfect. But think down, deep down inside about the relationship that you're in. It's teamwork. It brings forth new opportunities. It makes sense logically. They're probably pretty close to that dream and fantasy person. Of course, there's always going to be a little bit of things that aren't perfect. Nobody's perfect. Yes, the relationship may be difficult, it may take effort from time to time to move this relationship forward, but you feel like the effort has been worth it. And both of you are working towards moving the relationship forward and building more opportunity. So I believe, yes, you are with your soulmate. But to end this reading, I will stress that you do not have to be with your soulmate in order to have a happy relationship. As I said before, there are many people out there right now that are living very happy lives, have very happy relationships that are not with their soulmate. And also note, just because the person that you're with is a soulmate, just because the person that you have a profound connection with, doesn't mean that you have to be with them. Soulmates make good friends, good partners, but they don't necessarily have to be your friend. They don't necessarily have to be your partner. Now, although the cards are indeed indicating that the person that you're currently with is your soulmate, if the relationship isn't working anymore, if you find that things are more difficult than they were before, if they're not putting in the same amount of effort, or they're not showing the care or love that they did before, it is possible that the relationship has run its course. As well as having soulmates, there's also something else, which I refer to as the forever partner. Now, I did say early in this reading that we have multiple soulmates out in the universe, okay? In our world, we could have as many as 5 soulmates, maybe more, maybe less. But just because they're soulmates does not mean that we have to be with them. And note that just because you're with a soulmate now does not mean that that soulmate necessarily is meant to be your forever partner. People come in and out of our lives. We have cycles. Sometimes relationships end, not because they're angry and violent, but because they've run their course. They serve their purpose, and you've learned what you meant to learn in this life. Know that there's a good chance that the soulmate that you're with right now could very well be your forever partner. But if there's been more bumps in the road, if you feel like you're doubting this relationship, don't stay in the relationship if you're unhappy. Just because they're your soulmate does not mean that you are stuck with them. Okay? You still have choice. You still have free will. You have the ability to pick a new direction. If your relationship is currently not what you expect it to be, if you're not happy with your current relationship, you do have the ability to leave the relationship. And don't worry if they were your soulmate. You have more soulmates out there. Just because this soulmate may not have been your forever partner doesn't mean that the next one won't be. A forever partner, of course, is a partner who you're with for the majority of your life. Somebody that you have a true, profound connection with, much like a soulmate, but one that the universe intends you to stay with for a longer period of time. Now, if you are happy in your current relationship, know that you're with your soulmate, and you very well might also be with your forever partner. If you find that your relationship isn't as good as it used to be, and you feel like it's coming to an end, it might very well be. Just because you're with your soulmate doesn't mean you have to stay in that relationship. There's plenty of opportunities out there for everybody. More soulmates and even forever partners that may not be your soulmate, but just somebody you're profoundly connected with. Of course, to answer your question, is the person that you're currently with your soulmate? The answer is yes. Be happy that you're one of the few people to actually find your soulmate. If you're happy in the relationship, you'll be happy for a very long time. If you're struggling with the relationship, of course, put the effort in needed to try to resolve it. But don't hold on to this relationship just because the person is your soulmate. If your relationship has run its course, it's okay for it to end because a new adventure is always out there. Thanks so much. And from Astrology Valley, thank you as well.